What's up, guys? Hope you're well. This video is master the mid-range jump shot like Kobe and Jordan. Full tutorial for unguardable mid-range. That's me. That's my name. But this isn't my video. This is friend of the channel, Peter Danyliv. You guys asked me to react. Obviously, I've already mentioned him on the main channel, but I've interacted with him a couple times. One of my big pet peeves is he says he's the #1 trainer in the world. He's also said that he knows more about skill development than literally every Division I basketball coach. And he also, I think I left a comment on one of his reels where he says, don't forget, you can be bigger than the player. Basically for trainers and for coaches, like putting yourself before the player. Just a lot of things I disagree with, and a lot of things I think are exactly wrong with the industry. The amount of like kids and players and people that just get misled by this sort of stuff are really frustrating. But what I have not done, okay, so that's just the optics side of it, right? What I have not done is seen any of his actual tutorials. Like I said in that other video I did, I think his entertainment stuff is fine. I think he's obviously understands social media. He obviously is very good building social media and building a profile. And like I said, I think his entertainment stuff is pretty good, pretty funny. So I think it'd be interesting to react to one of his actual training sessions or training video. So let's see. It's the Master the Mid-Range Jump Shot.
You want a deadly mid-range? I got you. So with the big help of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think we as a basketball community start falling back in love with the midi again. And even though the analytics...
This has been a big concept that's like, people are like, the mid-range is dead. Or I think I actually spoke about this in another video. People are like, the mid-range is dead because of analytics or whatever. It's not necessarily true. And people saying now the mid-range is coming back. Again, not necessarily true. The issue is, so analytics, right? For the majority of players, mid-range jump shot is actually it's just a low percentage shot in comparison to a catch and shoot three-pointer, and it's worth more points. So a catch and shoot three-pointer that's open, or driving all the way to the basket and scoring. Those are just some of the most efficient shots you can get in a possession. So when you're training, you should be training those shots, because 90% of players need to be able to do those things. The mid-range is typically a lower percentage shot because the defense is usually there. You're also usually having to create off a dribble or off of a post-up. There's so many more factors that go into the mid-range to where it's more specific, it's more player specific. So when you look at the OKC Thunder, it's not like Coach Dagnall said, oh, everybody on our team, let's shoot mid-range jump shots and really like bring that back. It's just like, no, it's a special shooter rule is what I call it. If you have a player that's gifted at a particular shot, it might not be a good shot for your team. So you tell your team, hey, we're not hunting mid-range jump shots. But Shai, who can make 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, and can create that space and won't just live and die there. He'll also get to the basket. He'll also create for his teammates. He's also going to get to the free throw line, which everyone hates. He's also going to shoot threes. He's going to do all these other things. You kind of give those players special shooter rules. Okay, he's allowed to take this shot because it opens up so many other things for us. So the mid-range is good to open up a lot of other things. I still think you're going to get much further in your basketball career if you can shoot open three-pointers at a high percentage, and if you can score getting all the way to the basket in one dribble and finishing, so attacking closeouts.
And a lot of coaches in the modern day basketball do not like the mid-range. I still think it is a very important shot for you to have, especially when the game is in crunch time and you can't really get all the way to the cup, because you know that during that time, refs don't really blow the whistle, and then long range shots are very tough, and if you only need like 2 points, the midi is where you can really get that shot off, but you gotta know how to, and I'm about to teach you that. Today, I will...
So again, I would say people that need to, who would this be directed to? When I watch these videos and when I watch coaching sessions, I always try to put a player in my head of like, oh, what type of player or age group or specific person would this be for? How to master the mid-range jump shot. This would be for kids that just want to have fun with their friends. Playing 21, like let's say you're playing 21 or one-on-one, you want to work on your mid-range, definitely work on this. Or if you are the guy on your team that's allowed to take kind of whatever shot without getting in trouble, and you're struggling to get a mid-range jump shot off, like that's who this is for. I would say, I think overall this is where skills trainers need to coach teams. They need to gain experience coaching teams so that they can understand the stuff that they're teaching, like its purpose. I wouldn't be telling thousands and thousands of players like, oh, you need to improve your mid-range jump shot, because that 80-20 rule, right? You should put 80% of your time working on the stuff that are gonna get you majority of your points. You don't want to spend time. Mid-range is in that 20%. You don't want to spend a lot of time working on the 20%. You want to spend majority of your time catch and shoot threes, finishing around the basket.
We'll teach you
strength and conditioning.
3 hacks and
3 hacks.
3 moves that you need to know and have in your bag in order to be an elite mid-range shooter. All right, guys, so the first hack that I really want to dive deep into, it is my shooting pockets. So when we're driving in the mid-range area, I'd probably say 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, we're gonna have defenders somewhere on our hip. And so because of that,
this is why, again, as coaches, we come up with solutions without identifying a problem first. For me, again, if a kid comes to me and is like, hey, I'm really struggling making my mid-range jump shots when there's a defender there, I would be like, yeah, because it's not a good shot. I wouldn't go, oh, you need to change your shooting pocket, or we need to. I think once you start analyzing the game that way, you make it way more difficult, and you also like it shows me like you're thinking too hard. This is why skills trainers, to me, they think they know more than they do, because it's like, yeah, obviously if you work on your shooting pocket and picking different types of pickups and you master those, obviously it's going to make you better in the mid-range. But the amount of time that takes for a player to learn that, as opposed to just driving into a gap and if they're not open, kicking it and then relocating and getting another opportunity to attack a closeout, that mind shift, that mindset change within a player can be the difference between averaging 20 points and averaging 8 points. Honestly, playing like Steph Curry, people will see the floater, or they're going to see this weird mid-range pull-up where he changes his shot pocket. But what makes Steph Curry so good is his ability to shoot. So he'll catch and shoot. So now you got to close that out. So now he catch, drive, layup, catch, shot fake, you didn't fall for it, drive, you're still guarding me. He kicks it and then comes back and gets it again. Like, that's how we need to teach basketball, not how to make already difficult shots more difficult.
We're not always going to be able to bring the ball up in our normal shooting pocket right down the middle. If you watch elite level players like Shea, Luka, KD, all the guys that dominate right now in the mid-range, they all have an ability to shoot from outside of their pocket, right? So we have right pocket, left pocket. So those guys able to go right, and if defense is right here, they are able to gather the ball outside of their frame, keep it outside of their pocket, and then move the ball in a circular motion to their set point, and then get it off. So that way.
Yeah, they are able to do that. But honestly, I would say 80% of KD's shots aren't that. Like, this is what I mean. You're seeing this is his first hack. This is the first tip to mastering the mid-range jump shot. For me, the first tip is getting open. Like, how do you get open in the mid-range? A lot of the stuff we've been breaking down in our one-on-ones, if you can, someone made a comment the other day, and I said, if you can drive full speed right, and you can drive full speed left, and you can shoot open shots, if you can do those 3 things, you become incredibly tough to guard. And then the game for you becomes incredibly easy. Somebody commented on that and was like, yeah, if you can just do those 3 things, basketball's easy. And it's like, yeah, tell me you don't understand basketball without telling me you don't understand basketball. On the catch, if you can drive full speed left, the only way the defense can stop you going full speed left is to cut you off. And typically, if you're going full speed, there's going to be contact. Once that contact happens, we talk about winning the bump. What Shea does now is he'll shoulder the defender, sometimes gets away with the elbow as well, but he'll shoulder the defender and then step back into a space. That allows him his normal shooting pocket. That allows him to shoot his normal shot. That allows him to do the normal thing because he did the work before. Shai rarely gets into a spot where he's backing down a defender or running into the mid-range with no contact and jumps and then does this around his shooting pocket. This is not what gets Shai his shots, and this is not what's going to help people score more in the mid-range.
They can
Actually, we're going to look at comments afterwards, and maybe I'm wrong.
protect the ball and keep it away from the defender's reach, bring it outside of the frame, back to your normal set point. And
Remember we watched Thomas Isolo, and he said we want 60% shots in the mid-range, 40% from the three. People aren't making this 60% of the time, dribbling away from the basket, getting around out of their shot pocket. You're not making that 60% of the time with defense, so it's just not a good shot. Like, you don't need to practice it. Again, playing 21 or playing with your friends and you just want to have fun, go practice whatever. It doesn't matter. But most people are watching these videos because they want to improve and they want to be better. And a lot of trainers like this mislead people, and it sets them back.
And then shot. And then same thing going left, right? So defense is on my right hip, so I attack, gather it outside of my frame, reaching with my shooting hand across my frame.
I've spoken about this too. I teach when you shoot in your pull-up jump shot, you want to be getting your right hand, your shooting hand ready and bringing the ball to your shooting hand. It's so tough to be dribbling with your left hand and then reach across and then go up into a shot. That's so much wasted movement.
Outside of my frame, get it to my set point, and then shot.
Like, these are just bad shots. And people will be like, but it happens in the NBA all the time. Yeah, we talk about that. We're not NBA players. We don't have the luxury of being able to take those shots and make it through high school without getting cut.
You want to make sure that you practice mid-range jump shots with every kind of lift path, whether it's your regular lift path down the middle, right outside pocket, and left outside.
This is for the 1%. If you're the player that's your game and you're already dominating in the mid-range, you can work on this also. If you're playing a ton of one-on-one from the elbow or from the mid-post, yes. But anyone else, don't need this. It's just not a good shot. If you have to do that to shoot it, it's just not a good shot.
All right, guys. Now, second hack that I want to talk about is
second hack. By the way, it's not a tip. It's a hack.
My set point. Most of the elite players have two different set points. A lower placed set point for long range shots, and then the higher set point for mid range shots. And
he's not wrong. Look at that. Peter, maybe we have more in common than we think.
The reason is obvious. You're going to get way many more contested jump shots in the mid range area than in the long range area. And for long range area, lower set point allows you to generate more power on your shot. So in the mid-range, we don't really need to generate that much, right? So we can get away with having higher set points.
I was always really, the shot form and all that didn't really matter too much to me from the mid-range. That was my favorite shot. And I felt like just a flick of the wrist was fine. So my shoulders, it didn't really matter where everything was for me. As long as by the time I shot it, my shoulders were lined up with the basket. Honestly, with the flick of a wrist, my mid-range felt like I always had plenty of power. And where I had issues when I was younger is I shot that same shot from the three-point line, and I shot really flat. And I didn't change it until getting to college because that was the first year that they moved the three-point line back a little bit. It doesn't seem like a lot, but that little bit that they moved it backwards, my shot was just not going in. So I really had to change my set point. And I didn't realize I was changing my set point. At the time, I was saying more legs. So I was actually just dipping a little bit lower. Then I went overseas, and the three-point line was even further back. So then I really changed. I really ended up having two different shots, one for my three-pointer and one for my mid-range. And then I got really consistent with it to where I could shoot mid-range, then shoot threes, mid-range threes without thinking about it. It was just kind of natural. And that really helped me also develop my shot from even further out. So, this far, like 4 or 5 feet behind the three-point line, I felt comfortable shooting as long as I was open, could get into my dip. I felt really confident from there. But yeah, having a different set point for distances is pretty normal.
Point, which will allow us to rise up and shoot over the defender. So my suggestion is for long range shots, for instance, myself, my long range shot set point is like right about here. It's like in front of my right eye. So it's right here. And then my set point for my mid-range shots is like right about here.
Is that true? Let's see.
It's slightly, I'm trying to bring it slightly over my forehead.
It's hard to tell because he's fading away.
And now third hack, and guys, this doesn't happen all the time, so I want to make sure that I say that, but it does happen. Like if you remember Michael Jordan jump shot against the Cavaliers where he drove to the nail, jumped, hung, readjusted, and then shot. Or you would see Kobe do this a lot. Players like KD, Kyrie, all over
I'm scared where this is going.
those guys, and that's what I call a mid-air adjustment, or like re-dips, right? Like hang shots. So let's say I'm driving to my spot and I'm rising up, and I have the ball right here, and the defense is jumping with me, and I see that their hand is about to get on the ball. I would usually try to like readjust and then trying to get that shot off. It is a very high degree difficulty shot, and I wouldn't recommend to just shoot that just for fun. You only want to work on that.
I would only recommend to shoot this just for fun.
When you have super difficult and super hard contest mid-air with defense almost having the hand on the ball, and that's where I would want to go and then shot.
So again, this is it's my issue with skills trainers all wrapped up in one video, right? Like kids struggle with mid-range jump shots? Absolutely. The reason they usually struggle though is because they're not getting open jump shots. So you got to teach them how to get open jump shots, not teach them how to try and circumvent just making more difficult jump shots. This is what we do in America better than anywhere else, is we develop tough shot makers. That doesn't mean Peter Danyliv himself is developing tough shot makers. That doesn't mean people that watch him are all going to become tough shot makers. That means he's going to coach 1,000 people, and 900 of them are going to really struggle and be like, oh, all this stuff didn't work for me. There's going to be a few kids that slip through that are the man on their team. They get the ball in their hands all the time. They can do these weird adjustments and all this craziness. They can do all these things. And then they slip through the cracks, and then they make it at the highest level, and they're freak athletes, and they make it to the NBA. And then as Americans, we go, see, we did that. We developed that kid. And I go, no, that kid was going to be successful no matter what. We might have hindered their progress. That kid still would have been successful if we taught them how to get open jump shots. Like we're not developing those 1,000 kids. We're just teaching some crazy stuff. And then sometimes kids slip through the cracks and make it anyways, despite of our lack of fundamentals in the way we teach. So don't do this. Like, you don't need to do a double pump shot fake. Again, this is a guy that said he knows more about skill development than Division I coaches. The reason I have a big issue with that is because, again, I highly encourage skills trainers to develop a more holistic approach to basketball. Go coach a team. Don't go coach an AAU team of kids that are already good, that there's not a lot of stake there. You're not doing a lot of practices or anything. Go coach an under 12s team where you're practicing every day or multiple times a week. Go coach a team of kids that don't understand the game of basketball, and you're quickly going to understand how much you don't know. And again, that's not a flex. It's just, I've been there. I've done that same thing. but then it helps you start contextualizing and starts helping you understand what type of skills are important. So again, skills training, a lot of it is spent making tough shots and doing all these things with the basketball. Go coach a group of under 10 girls, and you're going to quickly understand how important teamwork, communication, passing the ball, shooting, just shooting open shots and backing themselves, how important those things are. It'll change your whole approach to the game of basketball. And then once you understand at higher levels, those are going to be the same issues that you run into. Once you've taught it to an 8-year-old, it's really easy to communicate that to adults, that's 30-year-old, 25-year-old. A lot of people comment on my videos and say I do a really good job of breaking things down and communicating it, on the camera or to you guys, communicating those ideas to you. Again, that's learned through, that's a lot of practice of dealing with young kids. So instead of saying, you might tell a group of kids, hey, everyone on the baseline, little girls, little 8-year-old girls that don't watch the NBA and don't have NBA 2K25, they're going to go, what's the baseline? So you got to find a way. How can you communicate to 12 kids that are high on candy and sprinting around and doing cartwheels? How do you communicate an idea to all of them and get them all to do the same thing? You start breaking things down very simply, and it starts changing the way you look at the game too. Sorry for going on that tirade, but we need less of this stuff, more humility, me included. Like Peter Danyliv, you're not better than every single Division I coach. They're working with scholarships, they're dealing with NIL. They also don't have time to develop each kid individually. They're developing their team, and so they're going to focus on the skills that is going to make their team successful. They're not focusing on double clutch hang fadeaways to get that 90% of their team is going to fail and one kid is going to make it to the NBA because he mastered that. That's not their job, and that shouldn't be ours as coaches. With that being said, I'm going to post some clips of me hitting some of these crazy shots. And me hitting these shots wasn't because I worked on them in this type of setting. It's because I played a lot of basketball. Most of the time I got this stuff from playing 21 or playing pickup with friends. And game winner, you just want to hit a crazy shot on your friends. That's when you practice that stuff. That's when you have fun. You don't get in the gym and sit here and practice these double clutch fadeaways. Because if you're hunting these out in a game, you'll be on the bench. You're not going to get very many minutes.
And now I want to give you guys 3 moves that you need to have in your bag in order to be an elite mid-range shooter. Now,
I consider myself an elite mid-range shooter. It's the name of the channel. That was my nickname in college. That's what set up every other move that I have. I consider myself an elite mid-range shooter. Let's see if I have these moves.
the first one might not really be considered as a move, but it's probably one of the best footworks in order to create separation into your mid-range pull-up jumper, and that is inside-outside speed stop. So when I drive
inside-out speed stop
with the ball in my right hand, I would stop left-right, and if I have the ball in my left hand, I would stop right-left. So that is probably the quickest and the fastest way to gain separation and pop right up, because defender's gonna slide his feet or they're gonna cross step and their momentum's gonna carry them downhill. And they slide or cross step and we just hit that quick inside outside stop, rise up and shoot over them.
Again, you can explain this way differently.
And shoot over them.
So for me, what do we talk about? I would step with my outside foot, one dribble to the basket, layup. Now, if I were driving and there was help defense, you could go into this pull up, or if I'm driving and the defender cuts me off, you can shoulder them into your mid-range shot. He's just showing a jump shot off the dribble, I guess.
Now, move number 2, and if you don't have it or it's not really good, I cannot really consider you a deadly mid-range shooter, and that is some serious pump fake. And there's 2 types of pump fake that I want you guys to learn.
If you don't have a serious pump fake, you're not considered an elite mid-range shooter. Have not heard that one before.
One is on a flyby, which is gonna be a hip-to-hip pump fake. So if I'm gonna get into my inside-outside or hop or anything, and then I shot fake, and I see that my defender flies by to my opposite side where the ball is, I would want to shot fake and move the ball to my opposite hip to help seal the ball away from them, so that way they can't reach for it, and then get into my shot.
Let me know what you guys, do you guys, I might just be a hater, so please correct me. When you hear this sentence, do you think, oh, actually, yeah, I'm not doing that enough? Or does it sound like nonsense to you? Honestly, please tell me. I want to self-evaluate as well. I am not the best coach in the world. I'm not the guardian of basketball, so I could be completely wrong here.
Shot fake and by to my opposite side where the ball is, I would want to shot fake and move the ball to my opposite hip to help seal the ball away from them, so that way they can't reach for it, and then get into my shot. So it's gonna look like this. It's my stop, hip to hip, hip to hip. And then second shot fake is up and down shot fake, but it's gonna stay between hip and the ear. So a lot of players, what they see them do, like they get stripped so many times because when defense is on their hip, their shot fake comes right here in the middle lift path. And what I want you guys to learn is just like how I was talking about shooting from outside of your frame, here's gonna be the exact same thing. So when I get to my spot, it's like I'm shot faking outside of my frame, because if they're not gonna jump, they're gonna close that gap quick and they're gonna be all upon me, right?
They're gonna be all up on me, right? I'm sorry, this is not personal. The reason I do this, I don't want you guys commenting and hating on Peter. The reason I do this is from a place of pushing the game forward, us all learning and teaching and growing together as a community. This is not a good teaching point. A good defender will close that gap, but then you're just stuck. I think teaching these sort of things is just nonsense.
If they're not gonna jump, so I wanna have ability to shot fake.
The other options are pivot. You can pivot, you can pass the ball, you can cut, you can do so, there's so much more to the game.
Hip to ear and not in the middle of my frame. So it's gonna be like this. Which leads me to my third move, and you need it. Like, you desperately need it if you want to be able to get your shot off in the mid-range in case the defense does not jump on your pump fake. And that is a secondary bump. So what that is imagine...
Start with this. Start with this. The whole video should just be this. Start with this.
I'm getting to my spot, right? Getting to my spot. I shot fake, defense doesn't jump, and he just crowds me, right? Like what everybody's taught, right? Straight legs, arms up, boom, 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 boom. And what happens during
nobody plays defense like
that time is defense doesn't realize that they are exposing their chest and they become very vulnerable.
Good defenders are going to be in a low defensive stance. I would talk about the bump on the drive. So I thought that's where he was going. We talk about it a lot. Win the bump. That's your time to create space for the jump shot, not once you get stopped. So once you're stopped and you're in a vulnerable position, yes, you got to try to bump and gain some space back, but you're not trying to shoot out of that. You're trying to just gain space to get a clean pass. You're trying to do something else. You lost that possession. Don't bump into a shot.
So
unless you're that guy and time's running out.
What you do here, and it's very easy, is to shot fake, wait for them to crowd me completely, and once their chest is wide open and they close this gap here, I would give them secondary bump, separate, and then get into my shot. and that is 3 hacks, 3 moves in order for you to become an elite mid-range shooter.
Okay, like I said, let me know what you guys think. I probably come off as a super hater, but I think we need less of this online. Please, for the sake of the thousands and thousands of players out there that go believe in this stuff. Like, they're vulnerable young kids that want to improve and want to be better. So let me know what you guys think, and let me know, am I the problem? Do I need to relax and take a deep breath? Because I'm also happy to be I'm happy to be criticized too. Like, I don't want you guys thinking I'm infallible or I'm perfect. So let me know if I've taken it too far, and I need to broaden my horizons, and if I'm the one in the wrong. So let me know. Otherwise, take care. Love you guys.